Now see that you on live laughing. Y'all see she over here arguing with me. We're trying to get on the show. See the people see. Go on, look at her. Y'all see she over here arguing with me. What you were saying
Like,
now?
we got
Over here
company. You need to
arguing.
get your life together. We have company tonight. We're not doing this.
You are the one that's over there acting up.
We are the voice of the community.
All right, everybody. Look, we're gonna be going live in just a moment. We got about 1 minute or so to be going live. We got a very, very special guest joining us in the studio. I'm gonna let Miss Brittany Bowman introduce our special guest just a little bit later because we want to keep you in suspense right now. You know, we always got lots and lots of surprises here on the Reliable Representation Show. So we're gonna give y'all all a chance and a moment to get in here, get your Kool-Aid, your water, whatever it is, your coffee, whatever it is you want to drink, and get on in here and enjoy this show. I hear the theme music, so y'all know what time it is. Right over, Miss Bowman. You getting
Good
ready?
evening. Good evening, reliable representation
You
audience. Mr. Nielsen is off the
ready?
chain today. It's time for him to get back to the silk because he is off the hinges this week.
We getting ready for a good show. That's the shout out to D I Love, Jackson State University.
Man, hush. Yeah, go ahead.
Get ready. That's a get in.
He died, not this man co-host. Good evening, everyone. We want to welcome you all again to another edition of the Reliable Representation Talk Show. This is the June 13th, 2024 edition. Thank you so much, Handyman, for that warm welcome. Again, Representative Nelson is going to participate remotely today. He's still at Harvard, participating in his fellowship. So we will turn it over to him. We'll come back later or toward the end to make our closing announcements for this evening. Okay. So we're going to turn it over to Representative Nelson.
All right. Good evening, everybody down there in Mississippi. I send y'all greetings from Cambridge, Massachusetts, here where I'm at the Harvard Kennedy School, completing a course in local and state government for executive leadership. It is always a pleasure to be, joining y'all no matter where I am. But I love being in the studio more because, as you know, Miss Brittany Bowman just is not on good behavior when I'm not there. When I'm there, she's still not on good behavior, but she does a little bit better when I can give her a little nudge. But nonetheless, I want to thank you so much for always holding it down, just bringing so much energy and so many great things to the Reliable Representation Show. We could not do it without you. I think people listening because they want to hear you more so than they do me. But we're going to keep it moving on along. I hope that y'all are having a very good week there in the great city of Jackson, Mississippi. I heard that y'all were in the triple digits today, possibly. I'm not sure. That's just what I heard through the grapevine. That was supposed to be really, really hot. I don't want to rub it in, but it was very pleasant here today. We had a little bit of a breeze kind of mixed with the sun, so it wasn't that bad. But the thing about Massachusetts is it's a very dry heat here. So I have to actually put lotion on now because if I step outside without lotion, I end up ashy because we don't have humidity. But nonetheless, we're going to keep it moving forward. We have had a lot of things that have transpired since our last show, so we just want to take a moment just to, this is one part of the show that I don't really like, but I do like to talk about, things that have happened in the community as it relates to community members that we've lost. And last Friday morning, we lost Judge Lee Agnew. His funeral services were at 11 o'clock today. He was a municipal judge for the city of Terry. He was a longtime attorney. He touched so many lives through his legal career, working in the private sector, as well as working as our municipal judge. He also did a little bit of Broadway performances that a lot of people really enjoyed going to see him. I knew his daughter, Wendy. We were actually went through Leadership Greater Jackson together. And the strange thing is, I never connected the two because, Wendy married, so she's Wendy Agnew Hutchins, but I never made the correlation that was her dad. But after he passed away, I said, how could I not make the connection? Because she's an amazing person, just like he was. So we want to ask that we keep Judge Agnew's family, in our prayers. Also, I'm going to send condolences to the Barnes family. We lost Dr. George Barnes last week. Dr. Barnes was the vice president of Hinds Community College, Utica, the Utica campus, as well as the Vicksburg Warren campus. He served Hinds Community College for over 51 years in various capacities. He was a pillar in the Hinds Community College system, and he's the force behind Hinds Community College being what it is today. And so we want to make sure we keep his family in our prayers. His funeral services, well, let me start. His visitation will be on June 13th. I'm sorry, that was today. So his visitation was today at Lakeover Funeral Home from 1:30 to 3:30. And his funeral services will be on June 15th at Pearl Street AME Church at 11 o'clock. So I want to send condolences to both of those families. And we have one more that I have to send condolences to. This is the Honorable Alderman Terry Johnson from Terry, Mississippi. This one really, it hit me really hard. I never will forget. I was on the phone talking to Brittany last Thursday after our radio show. And, we just kind of debriefing. And I got a text message from Alderman Mitchell telling me that, Alderman Johnson had been rushed to the hospital. And when I was on the phone with Brittany, I just got quiet, like, Brittany, something's going on. I said, let me call you back. But unfortunately, we lost Alderman Johnson. And he was just a diehard Democrat. He has been in a Democratic Party serving in various capacities for so many years. His mother was very big in the Democratic Party. And, he took the torch when she passed away. He was an advocate for the Democrats, and he was the first elected official that endorsed and supported me when I was running for office. And I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about the story. It's a bit of a crazy story. When I announced my candidacy, I didn't know the logistics behind running for office. So I had this real nice write-up about I'm running for office, and I put it on Facebook, and I sent it all over the district. And, people were liking it and commenting on it. Well, I got a comment on it from this guy, and it said, Terry Johnson. And the comment said, your announcement failed to mention if you were a Democrat or a Republican. It doesn't have your political party on it. It doesn't have election day on it. You need to change it. And I said, who in the world is this crazy man commenting on my status like that? And so I started researching him, and I saw that he was an alderman. I said, he's an alderman. And I said, he's an alderman down in Terry, Mississippi, and which is Terry is in part of my district. And so I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to go down. And this was like on a Saturday or Sunday. And Terry had their Board of Aldermen's meeting that following week. I said, you know what? I'm going to go down because I want to see this guy. I got to confront him and ask him, what are you thinking? Why would you put that on there? And so I went to the Board of Aldermen meeting. And I'm just thinking when I walk in there, nobody going to recognize me. Well, I walked in. And when I walked in, there Alderman Terry Johnson was. He said, hey there, Mr. Nelson, how you doing? He was so nice. And because I was ready to go, I was in the confrontational mode. I said, I'm doing good. How you doing? So I went and sat down, and he did something that really shocked me. The meeting went into order, and as it went into order, he raised his hand to be acknowledged, and Mayor Kendrick acknowledged him. He said, y'all, we have a candidate here, someone that's running for State House. He knew more about me than I knew about my campaign. He said, we have a person here running for office, and it's Mr. Nelson. And I want to ask if we can give him a moment to speak. Now, I wasn't prepared to get up there and speak. I was just going to confront him and ask him why he posted on my Facebook page. But that gave me the opportunity to get up and speak to the board and to the citizens in Terry, Mississippi about why I was running for office. I stayed behind, and after the meeting, he came up to me. He said, Mr. Nelson, I wasn't trying to be confrontational, about, I know that post may have been insensitive. I said, and I changed my whole demeanor changed. I said, you know what, Alderman Johnson, I was just coming down here to say thank you so much. And so I'm just saying that to say that he didn't have to do that. He didn't know anything about me, but he saw that I was a young person running for office with energy, and he wanted to mentor me and help me. And ever since then, he was by my side. Even when every campaign event I had, he was calling me, and he had some health issues for a little while. So he would call me, Mr. Nelson, I'm sorry, I wanted to come out to your campaign event, but I'm under the weather, I'm in the hospital. I said, you know what, don't worry about it. I just appreciate your support. I appreciate you for pouring into me, connecting me with the right people. And so Alderman Johnson, I just want to say I love you. I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for everything you did for our party. You've touched so many lives. And if we can do a fraction of what you've done for the Democratic Party, we would be in a much better position going forward. We got to keep it going. So I'm charging every single person out there to be just an ounce of the person that Alderman Johnson was. He was so inspiring. And one thing that I'm so happy that we got to do is he was running for executive committee here at the last Democratic caucus meeting. And he asked me, he said, will you and your boys come and help me campaign? I said, you don't even have to ask, we're going to come. And so we showed up, and my kids love him. He loves my kids as well. We went and showed up, and my kids were so excited, passing out the information, and he actually won. He was put on the executive committee, and he was so happy. And so I'm happy that we were able to do something for him, because he's done so much for so many others. So that gives me joy in knowing that we were able to return the favor to him. But you are very loved. We appreciate you, and we are going to dearly miss you. And whoever runs for your seat in the special election, they're going to have big shoes to fill. And we're just so grateful to you, Alderman Johnson. All right, Ms. Bowman, we're going to have to move it on before y'all see me showing out over here.
Okay, well, we do want to thank you for extending your condolences to those people who definitely have experienced loss. Death is tragic in itself, and it's definitely a hard battle. So before we move on to our special guest, we definitely want to kind of shift gears real quick when you mentioned some Democratic things. So this week, some interesting stuff happened here in the city, and I just want to know your perspective on it. I did hear you release a statement on whether I agree with it or not. You're an elected official, so I just want to know, where did that come from in regards to the Democratic Party boycotting the Mississippi State Fair that's taking place in August? That's big revenue for the city and the state. So I just want to know your position real quick on that, if you don't mind sharing that. And if it's uncomfortable or insensitive, I do apologize. We can omit that, but I just want to know what's your position on this, since you made a statement away from Massachusetts. I just want to know what brought on that.
Ms. Bowman?
I'm just asking.
But you know what? I really appreciate that question. And I'm glad that you asked me, about the statement I made. And so I'll just give a little bit of background. And I feel that it's important that as leaders, when we make statements, that we're able to talk about them. If you're not comfortable talking about it, if you're not comfortable with controversy, if you're not comfortable with speaking the truth, then you don't need to be in elected office. And the thing about leadership is, people are not going to always agree with you. If you have people that agree with every single thing you say, then you're doing something wrong. In leadership, you have to always make sure you're doing the right thing for your community. And I don't care who it's going against. It could be going against your own family. You got to make sure you're doing the right thing. And so this is my take on what happened on Monday. Like you said, I'm here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And so I received a text message from a reporter from WAPT. And she said, Representative Nelson, can you please give me a call and give me a statement about the Democratic Party boycotting the state fair? And I looked out like, the state fair boycotting, what's going on? I didn't know. I said, I'm not sure. Can you send me, some more information on it? So ultimately what happened is the Democratic Party released a statement that they were asking, I'm going to say they, I am a Democrat and I'm a member of the Democratic Party and I'm a proud Democrat, but I'm saying they because I was not included in the thought process behind this. And so the Democratic Party basically called on a boycott of the state fair due to a rally that was held for Donald Trump on Thursday by, several state elected officials. And so when I read it, going into it blindly, I told the reporter that based upon the knowledge I have and the information I have, I do not support a boycott of the state fair. And the reason I said this, it was for several reasons. The state fair is in October. This is June. And so I could not understand the correlation between a state fair and Donald Trump, other than the Secretary of Agriculture, which is the Secretary of Agriculture. Help me, my mind slipped. And Andy Gibson. I'm sorry. And so that's the only correlation.
Commissioner of Agriculture. Okay, yeah, I'm following.
Commissioner, look, I've been up here too long. We're talking about on the federal level, which is the Secretary of Commissioner of Agriculture. So that's the only correlation that I could find. But in my mind, the correlation I was more concerned with a state fair being held here in the city of Jackson, which has projections of about $50 million that goes into our local economy. And, my biggest concern is that I represent Jackson. We need the revenue. Anytime we have economic development, that's not even economic development, but anytime we have revenue coming into the city, we need to support it. And I support it. And it's not the fact that you're saying, well, Representative Nelson, are you selling your people out? No, that's not it. What it is, I don't see the correlation, nor do I see the significance. Now, when we talk about a boycott and we talk about a protest, the way we boycott and protest is the way our ancestors did. And that's by going to the polls and voting for the candidate that we need to have in there. Not about doing something that's going to hurt and cripple our community. And, and since then, I've had several conversations, within our party and within our party leadership about things that we need to do and how we need to handle this better. But, that was my statement. And I stand behind it 120%, unless there's some information or something that I do not know that can change the dynamics of it. And so I'm okay with, and I got several calls. This is up on a Monday. I got several calls on Tuesday from, constituents that were concerned, that wanted more information about my statement. And, I was able to sit down and talk to them and explain it. What we look at so many times is, as elected officials, we're afraid about rocking the boat. We're afraid that I can't say this and I can't say that because I'm afraid that people, are not going to vote for me because this and that. But the way I look at it is, people went out and voted for me because they believe in my vision for my district. People support me because they know that I love my community. They know I love my state. And so I have to always make sure that I'm staying true to that I'm maintaining integrity. And whenever I do these things and make these statements, I have absolutely no problem with giving my thought process behind that. Am I going to always be right? No, nobody's always right. Will I be wrong sometimes? Yes. Have I been wrong sometimes? Yes, I have. But on this issue right here, I'm going to stand strong on it. And we have to work on it. Just so I am correct, and on the record, I don't agree with, people supporting a person that's been convicted of 34 felony counts. But what we have to realize is we live in a democracy where you can support any person that you want to. Now, the problem that I have is I have a problem with the United States of America being as modernized as it is, allowing a person with 34 felony counts the opportunity to even go on the office and run for president of the United States. That's the problem that I have. That's the fight that we need to be fighting, because it doesn't make any sense that a person can run for the highest office of the land, but we have people that can't even go out and vote because of felony convictions. We have people that cannot even go out and get a decent job because of a background check. So you mean to tell me that you can have 34 felonies and be convicted, not convicted, not be accused, but you can be a 34 count convicted felon and run for the highest office in the land. And here a person is with one felony count or one sometimes misdemeanor charge against them, and they can't go in and get the basic of basics jobs. So we got to start fighting the fight the right way. We got to have the messaging being the right way. And until we can do that, I will stand behind it and I will support that. But what we've done so long is we've played along to get along. We have to stop doing that. We have to be reasonable. We have so many minority vendors that participate in the state fair that are looking for people to come in and buy things from them. We have so many minority entertainers that are going to be there performing that are counting on that. The record, I think the attendance of the last state fair was, I think, 500 some thousand people. We have 3 million people in Mississippi. So we had record turnout at the state fair. And so we got to start fighting these battles in the right way. I'm all for fighting. I'm going to be 100% with you when you're right. I'm going to stand with you when you're right. I love my party. I love the leadership in my party. We're not going to always see eye to eye on issues, and that's okay if we don't always see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, I have to do what's in the best interest of my district, what's in my conscience is telling me to do, what's in best interest for the state of Mississippi, and what's in best interest for the Democratic Party, because we have to rebuild our party and strengthen our party so that we can actually start to get things done around here. Any questions?
The teacher has spoken. I don't have any questions at this moment, but I'm quite sure I will have some later because I definitely want to kind of revisit some of the things that you said. But like I said, that'll be a conversation for a later day.
And that's fine. And look, and if any of our listeners have questions, tell them, feel free to call in. I have absolutely no problem, because the only way that we grow is by having these uncomfortable conversations.
Very true.
If I get on here and be everything peaches and cream, I love this, I love that, we're not going to grow. That's why we're sitting stagnant now, because we're not having these conversations.
Definitely.
All right, I'm done. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let y'all take it away. Appreciate you. I'm here though.
So everyone, today we're switching gears. Last Thursday we did education. So I like a little bit of diversity. We have a lot going on in the state and definitely here in our city and our county. So I think that it's a great time that we kind of discuss some other areas of politics that's relevant to us. So today our special guest is he is Mr., but as well as Attorney Yemi Kings. So he's running for a Sub-District 2, which is the seat that was held by Judge Loretta Cooper Stokes. So we definitely want to give him a chance to state who he is, share his platform. You all can call in, ask respectful questions. Reliable representation is not endorsing any candidate, but we do want to offer the opportunity for any candidate, if you're interested in coming on the show, definitely reach out to myself or Representative Nelson, and we can coordinate that Thursday time slot for you. So at this moment, we'll turn it over to Attorney Yemi Kings to tell us a little bit about himself and why he's running.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
So again, I'm Attorney Yemi Kings, and I'm a candidate for Hinds County Court Judge Sub-District 2, and that is the seat that was held by the late, great Judge Loretta Cooper Stokes. A lot of people ask me, what is Sub-District 2? I can tell you better just by telling you the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Georgetown, which is where I'm from, where I live, Shady Oaks, West Jackson, the Queens, got a small part of South Jackson, you got Northwest Hills, the northern boundary is Northside Drive, the district goes down to about McDowell Road in South Jackson.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about you.
All right, I'm born and raised here in Jackson.
Okay.
Graduate of Lanier High School, Tougaloo College, and Thurgood Marshall School of Law. When I finished law school, I came right back to Georgetown and opened up my law office at 2703 Martin Luther King Drive. I've served as an assistant Hinds County public defender. I currently serve as the deputy county prosecutor for Hinds County. I'm also a youth court prosecutor for Hinds County. I'm a youth court mentor for young men to come through the youth court system. I was previously a drug court attorney for the misdemeanor drug court program. So I've sat in pretty much all the seats that the Hinds County Court handles. The Hinds County Court handles 3 divisions. First is the civil division. So let's say you paid someone to put a motor in your car. You paid them $5,000 and they didn't do the work, and you got to sue them. You can bring that case in county court on the civil side. Also, county court handles our youth court matters, where our young people under 18 accused of delinquent offenses, they come through the youth court. Also, the abuse and neglect cases for children come through youth court. And then lastly, county court has a criminal division where they handle primarily the preliminary hearings and setting bonds in felony cases.
Okay, okay. So, like they say now this is the hardest question, as people like to say. What makes you distinctive from the other candidates that are running for this seat?
Well, I believe I have the right experience. Um, I have the most criminal experience out of all the candidates. I've handled uh, probably a couple thousand criminal cases in the Hinds County Court, whether it be when I was a public defender or as a county prosecutor or youth court prosecutor. Also, I'm the only candidate that actually lives in this district. I'm the only candidate that's from this district. So on election day, I'm the only candidate that can get up and cast a vote in this race. And I believe that we need to have a judge that's connected to our community because we had Judge Stokes who was in our community every day. We could see her, talk to her, and I wanted us to continue to have that. And that's one reason I, put my name in and said I want to do that. I want to be continue to have a judge where the children can see and talk to, and I want to be their judge for the kids and for the
Okay,
people in our community.
okay, great, great, great.
Can I cut in for 1 second?
Sure. What's your question?
How you doing, Attorney King? Thank you so much for joining us on the show this evening.
Thank you for
Now,
having
I
me.
want to back up again. So now you say you're the only judge in the only candidate that's in that lives in the district.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I live in Georgetown, which is, pretty much in the heart of Sub-District 2. That's where I was born and raised. Again, I'm a proud graduate of Lanier High School, and I'm the only candidate that is from this community and still in this community. I'm there every day.
Perfect.
Not just showing up saying, hey, vote for me. I'm there every day.
That's great. This is the question I have for you because I got this a lot when I was on the campaign trail. Can you tell our listeners why did you come back to Mississippi and Jackson, Mississippi, your community in particular?
Listen, people always ask me that. Even when I was in law school in Houston, why are you going back to Mississippi? Look, that was always my plan. I have a love for my state, for my city. And I lived in Houston for 3 years. I love living in Houston, but I love home even more. I've never wanted to live anywhere else. I don't plan to ever leave Hinds County. This is my home. I love it here. Now, there's a lot of work to be done. I want to step in and help do that work. But the work will get done. By God's grace, the work will get done, and it's going to be a better place.
Great, 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 great. So my question is this. I know Judge Stokes was very hands-on. They did a lot of community service for the community. And so with you stating that your practice is in the district, you live in the district. So as far as community involvement, kind of share exactly what have you done as far as community involvement in the community?
So I've always done things like free expungements. I've done free divorces, just a lot of pro bono work in the community.
Okay.
Just always offering myself up. In 2022, Representative Thompson gave me a congressional record for an act of heroism, what they called it. But on Thanksgiving Day, a young man got shot. We were, just celebrating Thanksgiving, having dinner. A young man got shot with what sounded like it was an AK-47.
Wow.
He was laying down the street, bleeding to death. And so we called 911. He looked up and said, "Hey, please don't let me die." So I knew I had to do something, and I went and grabbed a sweater and wrapped up his wound and stopped the bleeding till the police came. But that's just who I am. I'm gonna step in when I can and help when I can.
Okay, great. So this is my next question because see, when politics come, I have a lot of questions.
You
So,
just lit up. You literally just lit up like a Christmas tree. That head bobbing, and I know it's coming. Go on.
cause see, we have a call. Do we have a call? I don't know if we have a call or not. I was just trying to make sure because I can't do two jobs at once. But
So,
listen,
Attorney King, let me give you a fair warning. She
Okay.
drilled me for about 2 weeks, and so you better get ready. You in the hot seat, so you better be ready now.
It's gonna be like I'm in the courtroom then, I guess.
okay.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. We got a caller. Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
Hey, this is Denise Austin. I'm Mr. King's classmate from Tougaloo College, and I support Mr. King.
Hey,
I don't
Denise.
know if you remember me, Mr. King?
I do.
So I go to Free Mission Church, and So I support you. You're doing good, Mr. King.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good work.
Is Pastor Patton still over there?
Yeah, Pastor Patton is still there. You can stop by the church anytime and speak.
I'm gonna stop by on Sunday.
On Sundays, church starts at 9 o'clock, 9:30. Church starts at 9:30 every Sunday.
Okay, well, I'll see y'all there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. King.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so Mr. King, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, in regards to your experience and what you have been doing in the community, you stated that you mentor young men. So most of our crimes lately are being committed by teens, 14 to 18. I would gauge it to about 21. So what would be your advice to our community to see if we can, I know we can't alleviate it totally, we have to curb it, but we have to address the elephant in the room. And as a young Black male, what is your advice to our community?
Well, for me, having been a teenager and having had to face a lot of those questions about which way I'm gonna go growing up, one thing that kept me out of trouble was just extracurricular activities. Being in the band and playing basketball kept me out of so much trouble. So we gotta have something for these kids to do, because if they don't have anything to do, it seems like they're gonna fill their void with foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
And we gotta get these parks up and running. We gotta have more programs for these kids, and we gotta have a way to make sure that the parents can find out the information and know how to get in touch with these organizations. There's a lot of resources out here, and the parents don't even know about them. So we gotta do a better job of disseminating that. But we gotta be able to keep these kids busy.
I totally agree.
We gotta have people to step up and mentor these young people as well.
I totally agree. So let me ask this question. I asked Representative Nelson this as well when he was running. So with that being said, what do you plan to do differently that either your predecessor did or did not do, in a sense, to kind of step up and change the narrative of what's going on in our city?
Okay, yeah. So as a judge, I mean, there's only so many things you can do.
Okay.
But one thing I noticed is that the courts have been good about offering services to young people once they get in trouble and get into the system. But I want us to do a better job of intervening before they come before the court. So I want to be a judge that's going to be going into the elementary schools. You won't see a judge for the first time when you get in trouble. You get to talk to one. You get to have one that's your mentor. But we got to get in touch with these kids as young as possible. I want to do that differently. Offer resources to the families, to the kids through the courts before they get in trouble. Just head that off.
Okay. So that brings on another great point. One of our mentors, Judge Kenny Lewis, always uses the statement, he stands before his mentees so that they won't have to stand before him. And I was like, oh, this is a different one, but I can vibe that one. I like that. And so he offers job shadowing for his, people call, well, not people, but teenagers, parents call him and they say, hey, we want you to help, our children so that they can know exactly what goes on in a courtroom. And so I applaud that. So for me, when you say criminal cases, kind of explain what specific cases, because some people, they don't know the difference between civil, criminal. So kind of give us some examples of what they would face.
Of just different types of cases.
Correct.
In general. Okay, so right now I serve as a county prosecutor, and we handle cases in the Hinds County Justice Court. We handle the misdemeanor cases.
Okay.
Which can range from, your speeding tickets.
Okay.
Simple assaults, domestic violence. Unfortunately, we see way too much of that. So in misdemeanor cases are going to be cases where you can get anywhere from no jail time up to 1 year in the county jail. That's the maximum penalty for a misdemeanor. Then you have felonies, which carry time in the state penitentiary, depending on what the offense is, 20 years. Murder can be life in prison. But it's just a wide array of different crimes that we see in the courts.
Okay. So, Representative Nelson, do you have a question over there? You're talking about me. You're on it. So, I want to know what questions do you have?
All right. So before I go into my question, can you go ahead on and give our listeners the call in number just in case we got people with questions?
Sure. Those who are interested in calling in to speak with Attorney Emmy Kings, the call-in number is 601-948-5950. So if you have any questions, call in. Definitely remain respectful when you're calling in to the candidate and asking your questions, and make certain, again, that you remain a level of respect. So I have to highlight that because every now and again we get people who want to call in bashing people for someone else's thing they did not do, their shortcomings, and that's not fair to the current person. I think we do have a caller.
Is exactly, and we'll get my question after the caller.
Okay. Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
Yes, I think I caught the tail end of the conversation, with Representative Fabian Nelson. I wanted to, ask the question of, with regard to his perspective for the boycotting of the state fair.
Okay, I will definitely share that with him and have him to address that.
Okay, and in regards to Mr. Jimmy King,
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to him state that he wanted to reach, he's a mentor for the young, for young men. Now, when we think of young men, we think of those who are between the ages of maybe, I'll say 12 to 21. But, you know, there are young men who are still young mentally, and they may be a little bit older than 21. They may be close to 30. What would Mr. King be able to offer to those young men, or is there something that he can offer to those young men? And I'll yield back to you.
Okay, great. We'll allow him the opportunity to answer your question, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in.
Who you want first? Me, Attorney King.
Let's do Attorney King, then we'll come to you.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, so there's a wider range of services we can provide to folks through the court, you know, whether it be, counseling, drug treatment, all those kind of things. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have a drug problem, you can benefit from treatment. So I think that for the most part, services that we can offer young people, I think anybody can benefit from those services. I mean, giving folks an opportunity to participate in diversion programs and keep a clean record. I don't care how old you are. If you got a chance, we can give you a chance to keep a clean record and move on with your life and be a productive citizen. That should be available to everybody.
Okay. So we'll yield to you, Representative Nelson, before we take this next call.
Perfect. So the last caller's question was what my stance was on the boycott of the state fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in regards to the boycott of the state fair, I oppose it. I strongly oppose it. And, I gave my reasons earlier as to why I oppose it, because I feel that the statement released by our party was a reactive statement and not a proactive statement. And the proper thing to do was, now, when this rally was held last Thursday, and so if we were going to react, the party was going to react. There should have been a protest when that rally was going on. We can't come after the fact and say, well, we want to protest. And the fact that we're going to protest in October, I mean, that's 3-4 months away from now. So if we're going to do something, it needs to be done right away. And the other issue that I have is, if we boycott that fair, we're taking money away from Jackson. We're taking money away from a city that needs the money. Who are we hurting? Are we hurting Andy Gibson, or are we hurting the city of Jackson? Are we hurting the residents of Jackson? So that's what we have to take into consideration. My boycott and protest is going to be at the polls. We're not going to cast my vote for President Joe Biden. I want to ask every single person in Hinds County, and not in Hinds County, in the state of Mississippi, if you're upset about that, Our protest and boycott need to be going to the polls on election day and electing the man for the job, President Joe Biden. Furthermore, our protest and boycott need to be donating to his campaign. Our protest, and everybody can't donate. I understand that. But if you can't donate, your protest and boycott needs to be phone banking, calling people, telling people to vote for President Joe Biden. If you don't want to call people, go knock on doors. That's the way we change things. You know, we look back at the civil rights movement. Yeah, we did. We boycotted and we protested. But what we also did is we got people registered to vote. We made people go out and exercise their right to vote. That's the way we get the change. We're not going to get change from boycotting one event. And just let me paint the picture for you. If we boycotted the state fair and we said we're not going to go, to the state fair, that's money that the city of Jackson has lost. But what is that one action going to change? Versus if we all go to the polls and we turn Mississippi blue on election day in November, do you understand the impact that that's going to have? That's going to let people know that we're standing on business. That's how we get change. I yield back to Ms. Bowman.
Okay, well, we have another caller. Please hold. Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
Thank you for taking my call. I just want to ask the candidate, the young man that's running for the late Dr. Stokes on the Judge Stokes position. Is there anything that we can do as citizens? My mother lives in South Jackson, right over here off Payne Street, in the heart of all the violence going on. Every night, even in the daytime, you hear gunfights. Can't get the police to come out. When they do come out, it may be an hour later. You just sit in the living room, you can be having dinner, and you just hear gunshots, random gunshots. What can we do, or what can you help us? Can we get Capitol Police in our area? Why is it that we can have equal representation over here and we can't attack? My mother had bought her house. She worked hard to buy a home. We was on public housing for years. She worked hard and bought her home. She don't want to move. She made improvements in the home. She got the yard looking nice, the grass cut, got a big wooden fence. Just look nice, just enjoy her home. But you have homes on her street that we have contacted the city, asked for people to come out and look at these homes that are just, they're basically abandoned. Cars piled up in the yard. Will you be able to help us with that? Is there anything you can do?
Well,
And thank you for taking my call.
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to listen to you on the radio. Let me hang up. Bye.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your question. Well, some of the issues you raised are more of a legislative or executive function, and that the county court judge wouldn't be able to delve into. But I see Chief Wade speak a lot. He always says, when you see something, say something. And I've heard it so much it finally started to set in with me, and I noticed that in my neighborhood, we hear gunshots all the time. It got to the point where I'm like, I'm not even gonna call police. It's normal. And I started, you know what? I can't be like that. I need to call in and report that, because that is not normal. So, what we can do as citizens is always, number one, when we see something, say something. Number two, respond to those jury duty summons. Show up for jury duty. That is a major part of our system. It helps our courts run. So that's something that everybody can do. Show up for jury duty.
I want to weigh in on that as well too, if I can.
Okay, give us just a second. With that caller response, I know that she mentioned about abandoned homes. If you would like to caller who just called in about that, I'm going to share my contact information over the air. So if you want to contact me, you can. I can put you in contact with the website where you can report these sightings and findings with the city. We all have to be proactive and not reactive. Report what you see. Fabi, Representative Nelson, to tell you, I know it may be a nuisance. Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones, I contact his office all the time when things are going on in the county as well as the city, because I know he's a former police officer, so he has those connections. And I'm just using that as an illustration. Again, my phone number is 601 421-0877. You can call or text me, and I'll definitely put you in alignment with that contact information to report that sighting so that we can get some type of action going, some paperwork and a trail for those abandoned properties. I totally agree. When you're paying for your home, you definitely don't have to uproot and move when you've paid and invested into your home. Okay, we yield to you, Representative Nelson.
All right, look, can I put the cherry on the top, please?
Sure.
All right, so what we have on, and caller, whenever you reach out to Ms. Bowman, please make sure you follow up with her. What we have going on right now is we actually have $250,000 due to the help of Representative Ronnie Crudup. So the state appropriated $250,000 for everything south of Highway 80 in South Jackson. So we have money to go in and deal with some of these blighted properties as far as demolition and getting them, torn down. And so we definitely need to get those addresses so we can get out there and deal with it. And I want to commend Attorney King for what he said. When people are running for office, sometimes they'll say whatever sounds good. And he could have said, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But he put the perspective into place that this is the executive and legislative function of government, which is absolutely true. And so my next question for Attorney, he answered my next question, because my next question for him was going to be is, how are you going to work with other elected officials? Because the problem that we have right now is that elected officials don't work together. It's, the judicial branch is doing their thing, the executive branch is doing their thing, the legislative branch is doing their thing. So we have to have unity in order to get it done. And so that's so important. But with answering that last question, Attorney King shows that he already has that down packed. We can't do anything. One person in solidarity cannot do it all alone.
Thank you. We have another caller. Thank you so much for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you? Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you? Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
Yes, Representative Nelson, our organization in Byron, we voted for you, we believe in you. But we got to show our young man over the fair. We have to start somewhere. I know what you're saying is correct in hurting the city, but we're not gonna, the city is hurting without us hurting them with the fair. So we got to show that we're not going to support this fair as a minority race. Now, I understand what you're saying because we supported you and we still support you. And I understand your stand, but sometimes you have to show people by keeping your money in your pocket. So in Byram, our organization, I'm not saying what organization is, but we are asking minority people not to support the fair this time. I know what you say about hurting the city, but the city is hurting anyway. So this little, not going to the fair, not gonna make too much of a difference because our city is hurting anyway. And you don't have anything to do with the reason why they are hurting. They got problems and you don't have anything to do with that. But we are asking minority people do not support the fair this time. Okay, but we still support you. I just had to say that because I understand where your heart is and stick with what you believe, but we're going to stick with, we're not going to support it this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for calling in.
Hang on 1 second. I just want to address the caller.
Hold on one second. So this one won't hang up. Hold on.
Okay.
Thank you for calling into Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
Same one that got cut off. I'm sorry. I got cut off. I cut myself off. Let me say this. You have a great candidate there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's some related to the Smith. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reverend R.L.T. Smith.
Okay.
It's my great grandfather.
Okay. First of all, he lives in the community, born and raised in the community. What relation were you to Lawrence Smith?
That was my grandfather.
Lawrence and I went to school together, Jim Hill.
Yes, sir.
I'm with you 100. You live in the community, and any other candidate, you all need to ask the question, do you live in the community? We always gonna get somebody live somewhere else, don't know nothing about your community. And a young man that called in earlier talking about if we boycott the fair, there was a barge root beer company here in Jackson. We boycotted barge root beer company, we got what we want. You have to suffer to get what you want. If you ask for little, you get little. When those white people was talking about the blacks going to school at the white school, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, when they said they weren't going to run that ball that same day, money talk, all that other stuff won't. You have to suffer. If you ain't willing to suffer, I can understand you're very young. When you speak like that, you don't know the story. Thank you for taking my call. And young man, I'm with you 100.
Thank you so much.
And you be blessed. And you live in the community.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you need. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
So real quick, a two-part question. We're gonna wrap those two up in 2 minutes or less. My first comment to the caller. I know that you mentioned about the fair. I was on the same fence line with you. I mentioned that to Representative Nelson. I was totally in objection to his statement that he made. However, I do get that you state that we must show them. And I'm all for that, showing people you have, and a lot of times you do have to show with money because that's the most beneficial factor that everyone tends to benefit. However, the only objection I have to that is this. Jackson Public Schools has just closed 11 schools. Where were our people standing up for that? And I hate to use this as an illustration again. If it had been primarily Caucasian people in JPS, it would not have been allowed. But because Black people tend to sit on our rear ends, we wait till things are chaotic, out of control, then that's when we want to state our fate to claim. It's too late then. Where were we at? Why were we at our school board meetings? Why were we at our schools stating we don't want our schools to close? Primarily in South Jackson, almost everything from Highway 80 south is closed or either dilapidated, in poor condition. You can't do anything out there. Metro Center, when I came along, Metro Center was hot and popping. That was the place to go. Now Metro Center is obsolete. Kroger used to be the grocery store on Terry Road. You can go to Kroger, get everything. That was right there between before it was even considered a Byram. That has vacated. So I get not supporting the fair. I get showing, taking a stand, showing it. But however, we got to put our priorities in the right place. And I'm all for it because I told Representative Nelson, no, I'm not, me or my child is not going. However, I still want us to take that same energy and put it toward Jackson Public Schools because it's the capital city. We're right here in Jackson, and Jackson Public Schools is suffering because we don't have people to stand up to our superintendent, our school board members, and say, we've had enough from you all. You all are going to listen to what we have to say. Now, we've heard what you got to say. Now, you're going to listen to what we have to say. So, again, thank you for that. Thank you for the second caller weighing in. We do appreciate that Mr. Kings live in the community, and that's viable, as I stated to Representative Nelson when he ran. We need someone who are living in the community, who face the day-to-day trials. Don't need anybody coming buying a house saying you live there for 6 months or a year, and that's not really home to you because you can't relate. If you've never been poor, how you gonna tell somebody who's struggling, don't have enough money to make it off of 1 month's salary, how it feels? You have never walked in their shoes, so you don't know what it feels like. So that's my comment to those. Now you're the Representative Nelson.
So I do want to address, I guess, the past two calls that came in. So the young lady that lives in Byram, I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. If you can, let me put my phone number out here. Please give me a call. My cell phone is 601-668-3498. I would love to have a conversation with you because at the end of the day, I want to know how my constituents feel. And I appreciate your support so much. And This was a hard decision for me to make, but I just want to go back and I want to give a little history and perspective. As the gentleman said, yes, protesting, cutting the purse strings off, that works. I absolutely agree 100% with you. But I want to go back for a few years. I don't know when this happened. I'm sorry I can't give you the exact year. I'm going to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The state fair, they had a theme. Each year the fair has a theme. And the theme was, we're going to go back to the 1800s. And when that theme came along, the NAACP came out and said, we need to boycott this fair because we're trying to go back to the old days when discrimination, and even though 1800 was after slavery, but it was still, Juneteenth and all this. So basically what they were saying, they took us back to a time where things were oppressed more than what they are now. The NAACP said, let's boycott the fair. People did not boycott. They had a record number of attendance at that fair at that time. People didn't come together and boycott then. Right now, society has changed. People's priorities have changed. In order for a movement to be effective, we have to make sure we have every single person on board to make it happen. Now, if it had been that Donald Trump was going to be at the state fair with a rally, I would have been all for it, saying, hey, we need to boycott. If it had been that we're going to boycott him coming to town, we're going to boycott his rally, I would have been like, okay, let's get it done. But we have to make sure when we're sending a statement that we are sending it loud and clear and being as effective as we possibly can. I mean, that's where I stand on it. But once again, I appreciate all of the comments. I appreciate having this conversation. How do we get our people involved? How do we get our people engaged? And most importantly, how do we get our people to go out and vote? Because if we really had a call to action, our current agriculture commissioner, Andy Gibson, he was a commissioner when he had the theme, the 1800 theme, and he won his reelection by a landslide. So why were we not talking about that when in the past election? We got to start having strategy in order to change things, because what's going on the other side, they're using these pressure points to really get us engaged and getting us to act emotionally. We got to start having strategy in order to move things forward. I'm sorry for feeling the way that I feel about it, but we got to be smart and strategic in what we need to do, because we have some problems and we got to do what we can to solve them. And we got to fight this good fight in a good way. So I'm with y'all. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to do it. So callers, once again, I'm going to give you my cell phone, 601-668-3498. Please give me a call so we can talk about a call of action. Things better. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you for calling Reliable Representation Show. How may we help you?
Yes, I was listening to your conversation, and I think it's wonderful. The way that the young man would say, we got to get on the ball and get out and get people to come out and vote. You're going to have to go to the people. You're going to have to go in these low-income apartment complexes, and you're going to have to get those people out up off their butts and get them to go to vote.
Yes,
You got
ma'am.
to go to them what they understand.
Yes, ma'am.
A hot dog, hamburger, I don't care what you do to them, but they don't know you out there because they don't watch stuff like some people do. They don't watch the news, they don't read, they don't care. They're in low-income apartment. We got how many in the city? We got so many in the city. That's what's holding the city up. Low-income apartment. When they left the city of Jackson like they left it, with no tax base, they knew that it was nothing but a bunch of low-income people that live here, the majority of them anyway, and they knew that they wasn't going to come out and vote. They won't even go to the school to the PTA.
Ooh, Lord, come on now.
They children. They set up and let them put all these charter schools in here, and black people say up with that notion, they think the charter schools are private schools. That's a money for high school.
Yes, ma'am.
That's for money. The people that own those schools don't even live here.
Okay. Well,
Their children is going. They neglected the public schools so many years. That's why the people feel like they need to get their children out of there.
Yes.
Well, yes, ma'am. We thank you for your call. We have another call coming through, and we have to wrap up for the evening. So stay tuned in for next Thursday. We're going to pick it back up.
Thank you so much. Please, I appreciate you.
One, okay. Thank you for calling Reliable Representation Talk Show. We're about to wrap up our show. Yes, sir. How can we help you?
Yes, I was just calling. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We're listening. I apologize.
Okay, that's okay. I was calling, I was enjoying the conversation, but I'm just trying to understand how, if we boycott in October, that means we're not gonna vote in November. I wanna know why we can't do both. And my next question is, what are we gonna do leading up to the boycott saying? And how much money does Jackson get from the Mississippi State Fair? Those are questions that I would like to have answered.
Okay, well, we're about to wrap up our show. So what we'll do is we'll take your information down and we'll address it on next Thursday if you would like for us to revisit this, because we have another show that's coming on in less than 1 minute.
I'm gonna throw some else out there. It's about $50 million, lodging and food, but we'll address this next week. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, we'll thank you so much. So before
That $50 million don't come to Jackson, that goes to the state. I wanna know what percentage of that $50 million does Jackson have access to? That's what I want you to answer next week. I know you have to go.
okay,
Yes.
we sure.
Because we can't be fooled and say when money comes to the state, Jackson get it, because that's not true. So let's just, if you all could just answer that for me next week would be great.
Okay, we sure will. Thank you so much for listening. Before we wrap up, we want to allow Mr. Kings to give his final comments, and then we'll invite him back next week.
Thank you. Again, I'm Attorney Yemi Kings, a candidate for Hines County Court Judge of District 2. I'm a candidate that's from the community and for the community. And I'm asking for your vote in November.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much for listening to Reliable Representation. We will pick up this conversation again on next Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Take us out, Handy.
All right, Ms. Bowman. Had
All
a great show, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in and calling. We got the phone ringing, and we are going to have answers to all of your questions. And just so I'm clear, the economic impact is about $50 million from the state fair. And when I said the $50 million, I'm talking about lodging, so like hotels and restaurants and all of that. So that's not coming directly to Jackson as far as the tax base, but it's coming to local businesses to support Jackson, local businesses into Jackson. So this is not money that's passing over. But we're going to have those numbers because Jackson State has done several studies. And so we will see y'all next week, same time, same place. Send a shout out to Lee Schaefer, my mom, and all my kids. I love y'all. I'll call y'all in a minute. I'll talk to you soon. You walking on out, Ms. Bowman?
I am Handy putting us on our hand.
Hand to put us out. Go on. Let me holler at him. All right, yeah, y'all have a great evening. We had a very engaging show. Like I say, it was a very hot topic. But here at the Reliable Representation Show, we don't leave any stones unturned. We like to make sure that we give all of our listeners, a voice. That's what's important. And so we will be back again next week. Unfortunately, I don't think I will be with you because I got something else going on, but the show will still go on. But please send your questions, comments in, and y'all take care. We look forward to the Reliable Representation Show next week. Take it easy, y'all, and take care of each other.